Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kaylee and today we are back on Mistletoe for another speed build video. And today we are building the long-awaited highway bridge for this island, so let's get right into it. Alright, so the plan for today is to have a little sitting area down here that leads up to an incline with a small bridge behind resident services, and then that will attach to a road that will lead all the way back to the end of the island. So I've been trying to decide what time of day I want to set this island in, because on most of my other islands I go for around 4:30 p.m. when the sun is just starting to set, and that time usually gives enough time for you to tour the island before the sun goes down. Plus I really like the color of the island with that sunset. I've also set them during the sunrise because the color of the sky is slightly different between the sunset and sunrise. One is more like orangey and one is more like green, so depending on the island I like to pick one of those. But for this island I've actually been thinking of setting it at nighttime because we do have a lot of the illuminated items or like street lamps around the island, and I think the snow looks really pretty at nighttime. Even though most of the island is covered in pathing, so you don't really see the snow, which, by the way, the pathing is very time consuming, and I did try my best to cut down the pathing and terraforming clips in this video because I don't think it's super interesting to watch, even though I know you are totally entertained by me talking about complete nonsense for almost 12 minutes straight, right? Just give that one to me. And speaking of entertaining, I recently just watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and I actually enjoyed the movie a lot. I've heard some people don't like it, but I also think I'm pretty easy to please when it comes to like movies and TV shows. Like there isn't a whole lot of movies I don't actually like. I only really dislike movies when the beginning is super slow and it just can't keep my attention. But I was pleasantly entertained watching Five Nights at Freddy's. Although I've never played the game before, but I know from what my husband has told me that there are some pretty big differences between the lore of the game compared to what was shown during the movie, which I guess can be a little disappointing if you're a big fan of the game and then the movie doesn't have a whole lot to do with the backstory that you're used to from playing the game. Like, for example, I remember I read all of the Twilight movies when I was like in middle school, and then when I saw the movies I would point out every single difference between the movie and the book, which honestly is probably pretty annoying for my family who was sitting next to me while we were watching the movies. But I guess this situation is pretty similar to that, but it's a video game instead of a book that I read. And while we took a little tangent talking about books, I do want to get back into reading. Like I said, I've read all the Twilight books when I was growing up, which I know Twilight is kind of like a meme now, but I honestly did like the books when I read them. But I love reading series, so if you have any book series recommendations, leave them down below. I'm definitely more into fiction type books. Nonfiction can be entertaining if it's about a subject I'm interested in, but for the most part I want to be told a story. I don't want to read about like statistics. And another book series that I really enjoyed was The City of Ember, which I was actually read the first book of that series when I was in 5th grade, but I read the series probably like 2 years ago, and it's probably one of my favorite series of all time, although I definitely prefer the first book out of the series. And if you've been on the channel for basically since the beginning of the time that I started making videos on this channel, you might remember that my hard mode island was named Ember, and part of the reason I chose that was because of the book, The City of Ember. So there's a little fact right there. But I also remember in high school reading One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which I also really enjoyed. I just love any book that has somewhat of an unreliable narrator, because it makes for such good twists in the book, and like you can't even believe what you're reading because is the person that's telling the story crazy or is it actually happening? You'll never know, or you might figure it out by the end of the book, but for the most part you don't know what's actually happening. But I'd be interested in hearing what some of your favorite books are, so make sure to leave them down in the comments and I might read some of your favorite books because, like I said, I just want to get back into reading because I do enjoy it when I do it, I just don't do it, if that makes sense. Another thing that I've been really interested in recently is nail polish. And I don't know if some of you can relate to this, but I go through like phases where I get really interested in like one thing, and then one day a switch flips and I just get super interested in something else. And right now I'm in my nail polish hyperfixation era, and specifically Holo Taco nail polish, which if you don't know, it's the YouTuber Simply Nailogical's nail polish brand. So I've been binge watching a bunch of her videos on her second channel called Simply Not Logical, and she's actually doing streams of her playing video games on that channel as well, and it's kind of like my two interests combining video games and nail polish, so that's super fun. But they have their holiday collection being released this Saturday, and in Simply Nailogical's community they have something called the Holo Detectives, and they are a group on her Discord that try to figure out what's being released before it's announced. And I've basically been lurking in that Discord group for a while, and it's just so much fun. Christine will post black and white photos of things so you can't tell the color, and then they'll try to do things like colorize those pictures, or they'll look for things in her background on her streams or her other videos. And I know I'm not participating in it, but it's just such a fun little community to watch and kind of be a part of, I guess. But anyway, they are having a release coming out this weekend, and they do little teasers throughout the week leading up to the release. And a new nail polish just got released today, got teased today, and I'm so excited about it, so I will definitely be buying that collection on Saturday. But also, their Black Friday sale starts the same day, so this Saturday, and I'm excited about it, but I swear Black Friday gets earlier and earlier every year. I remember when I was a kid growing up, going through the newspapers and all the ads that you'd get mailed on Thanksgiving, and me and my sister would sit at the dining room table and we'd just go through them and circle the things that we wanted for Christmas. And I wish I could go back to being a kid during the holidays. It was just such a fun time of year as a kid. And I feel like as I've gotten older, the holiday magic has just kind of seemed less magical, which is kind of sad. So I would do anything to go back in time to celebrate Christmas and just that end of the year time as a kid. But that brings up a good question. If you could time travel and you could only pick one, would you go back in time or would you go into the future? And then how far back or forward would you go? And this also reminds me of one of my favorite movies, which is called About Time. It's about a guy who can travel back in time, but he can only travel back in time during his lifetime. So he couldn't go back and stop the Holocaust, but he could go back in time during his specific lifeline. And me and my husband watch that movie every New Year's because the moral of the story is just to live every day to its fullest without the need to go back in time and relive through certain days. And I feel like that's a good idea to remember at the beginning of the year, although that movie does make me cry every single time I watch it, but it's also pretty easy to make me cry with TV and movies. Today I saw a Kroger ad about a family doing a student exchange program, and it's really cute, and yeah, I cried at 8 a.m. just watching this grocery store ad. And the funny part is we don't even have Kroger where I live, so it's not an ad I would have seen. I just saw it on TikTok, but it did make me cry and it was really cute. But speaking of the holidays, for those of you in the US, we are getting super close to Thanksgiving, which low-key is a pretty great holiday. Not a lot happens on Thanksgiving other than eating dinner with your family, but I honestly love that. Plus, since I'm married, I basically get 2 Thanksgivings and 2 Christmases. And it's interesting when you're in a relationship with someone and you do 2 of the holidays, one with each side of the couple's family, and you get to see how different the families are with traditions, and you get to participate in both, which is really fun. But it's a little chaotic because my husband's family is bigger than mine. He is one of 4 kids and he's the youngest. Meanwhile, I only have 1 sister and I'm the oldest. Plus, my sister moved out of state last year and won't be coming down for the holidays this year, which is sad because this will be the first holiday season that I don't get to see her, so that is pretty sad. But my family's Thanksgiving will be a much smaller dinner. I think in total there will be 6 people there, while my husband's side, I think there will be around 16 people, so 10 more people than my side of the family. But I feel like the chaos adds to the fun of the holiday season. I don't know. But to prepare for Thanksgiving, I've been looking through Pinterest trying to find fun fall desserts and other little snacks. But I don't know why, but I feel like I really want to bake something for Thanksgiving this year, just for the fall season in general. I'm craving baked goods. I saw these pumpkin cream cheese muffins that I really wanted to make, and then I went down a Pinterest hole of looking at different types of fall themed cookies, anything from pumpkin spice to apple to coffee cake. These people have a recipe for every type of cookie in existence. And I know there's like this running joke that these food recipe bloggers tell their life story in between posting the recipes, but it's so true. I was just trying to see the ingredients for these pumpkin cream cheese muffins, and I swear I was scrolling for like 10 years just to get to the recipe. Like, how do these people have so much to write about? When I try to think of things to talk about in these videos, it's a little bit of a struggle to come up with ideas, and then I just go on mini rants about cookie recipes. But these bloggers post like novels on each recipe. Like, how do they have so much to talk about? I'm honestly pretty impressed because I wish I had that much to talk about, but I just don't. But we are nearing the end of the video, and I'm just adding the final touches of the cars on the actual road, and then now we can take a look at the final build. But that's going to be the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching. Before you leave, make sure to give the video a like, comment, and to subscribe to the channel. And if you watched to the end of the video, let me know down in the comments if you would travel forward in time or if you would go back in time. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, friends!